Something that often doesn't occur to people over the pond, as opposed to people that are on this side of the pond, is the fact that how you do things and we do things is not the same. A lot of people argue with me that overseas in Europe, their oil change intervals are like 10, 12,000 miles, and they would never think about doing a 5,000-mile oil change. They also argue with me that they don't have specific products on the shelf over there. They don't have access to certain things over there. Their emissions regulations are different. How they handle their business automotive wise is not the same. When I take a VIN from a European Ford and I plug it into PTS and I look up the open recalls and TSBs that's built with the same block, the same head, the same suspension, there are some differences in, like, you can get the 1.5 liter turbo Focus over there in a manual, but you can't get that here. There's some differences where they have access to different cars than what we have, but the basic block and engine principle and design and stuff is the same. But when I look at our technical service bulletins, we're exposed to everything here. Everything's taken care of, everything's put out to the public. You can see all the flaws and stuff that's going on, but oftentimes people from overseas tell me, "Oh, we don't have that problem here. We don't have that problem here." Yeah, but how many times have you been to the dealership over in Europe or Germany or whatever, and you're complaining about coolant loss or something like that, and you go to the dealership and they don't do anything for you multiple times over and over and over again until you have to fight and threaten court, and then all of a sudden something gets done, and then you find out you have a coolant intrusion problem, which there's a technical service bulletin out over here to take care of those customers when they come in, buy 60,000 miles, or whatever the service interval, 5 years, 60,000 miles. Where over there, you may be having the same problem, but they're telling you that it's a normal condition and a little bit of coolant loss is normal. I have people tell me this stuff all the time. I have guys in Europe that work for the dealerships all the time that message me and say they don't get specific training, they don't get exposed to certain types of repairs and stuff over there. They don't have a lot of the same options to things that we have over here. Things are different done overseas as opposed to here in the United States because the government is so involved in everything. CAFE standards, I don't know which one is more tight. Overseas, they seem to have a lot more diesel type vehicles and stuff, even in the car form, than over here. But I often get comments on the channel about that they think that I'm making something up, or that they just don't understand how they don't get exposed to the truth of what's going on with these vehicles like what we do here in the United States. I had a gentleman say, I bought my wife a new Escape with a 1.5 liter and I'm losing coolant all the time. Every time I take it to all these dealers over here in Europe, they don't ever want to do anything for me. But when I bought the cylinder leakage tester like you did, and I actually pulled the spark plugs out of the cylinders and I pressure tested the cylinders myself, the coolant system, I pressure tested the coolant system, pulled the spark plugs, I could see the coolant slowly forming in the cylinders. But they're telling me they won't do anything for me. There's a huge difference in what happens overseas and what happens here in the United States. I have technicians a lot of time, say that they wish they had somebody like me, or a technician that was exposed to these things here in the United States to help them out more, because their dealerships tie their hands on what they can do for the customers and what they can't do for the customers. And then when I look at the open safety recalls and campaigns, technical service bulletins and stuff here in the United States, and then somebody says, "Hey, can you check my VIN number? I have, this 1.5 liter or 2.0 liter engine. I'd like to see what you can find under my service history, or what if you can give me the torque specs on this specific, turbo torque sequence, or whatever, just whatever, just humor me." And I'll look at their car and I'm like, wait a second. The same vehicle in the same year span, there's like 40 different open recalls and campaigns and stuff like that. You mean to tell me over in Europe there's 8? There's 7? There's so much stuff that's hidden overseas that people don't get to see that we do get to see here in the United States, and it's the same vehicle. It's the exact same vehicle. Some things may be a little bit different, but you mean to tell me you're missing that many technical service bulletins and campaigns? They're not built any different. They just don't have to tell people things over there, and they get away with murder over there compared to what we can get away with over here. Something to think about, guys. Y'all be blessed.